What's up, everybody? Welcome to another ranking video, and today I will be ranking every movie I watched for the first time in August of 2023. Yes. So I'm just going to be flat out honest here. So far, this is the worst month the worst month of movies I have seen so far of this year. I only liked half of these movies. There are 16 movies total, and I only liked 8 of them. So half of them I did like, and half of them I didn't. And I have to say my favorite. I'm just going to go and say this. My number one favorite is not even a 9 or 10 out of 10 movie. It's only an 8 out of 10, and then from I believe it is from 6 to 2 are 7 out of 10 movies, and then 8 and 7 are 6 out of 10, and then a couple fives, 4 from 12 to 9 are 5 out of 10s. 14 to 13 are 4 out of 10s, and then 15 is 3 out of 10, and my least favorite, my number 16, is a 2 out of 10. So yeah, and I think this might even be the lowest movie that I've gave a 2 out of like the lowest ones for each month. Maybe it depends. I feel like Pinocchio I might have gave like a 2 or a 3. So I don't know, but so one of the worst movies I've seen, honestly, is my number 16. But yeah, it wasn't a great month, honestly. I didn't watch too much. I mean, I watched 16, but I wish I watched more just because, yeah, it wasn't a great month for movies for me, so that I watched. So, but let's just jump right into it anyway. So let's just get this over with. So, all right, coming in at number 16, my least favorite movie that I watched for the first time in August, that is a Spike Lee joint. There is 2 Spike Lee joints, and I'll go ahead and say this is the worst Spike Lee joint I have ever seen. That is The Sweet Blood of Jesus. And Jesus Christ, this movie was awful. Yeah, this is a 2 out of 10, and it was so bad. Like, I couldn't believe how bad this movie was. Now, aside from like the cinematography was okay, editing was okay, I mean, Spike Lee is a very good filmmaker, so there were some filmmaking aspects that were fine, but definitely not the best though. Acting wasn't good. The story maybe could have been better if it was done better. It could have been interesting if it was done better, and the movie itself was just really boring. Like, not interesting at all, and just really boring. Yeah, I hated this movie. This was so bad. I did not think that there would be a Spike Lee joint that would be worse than She Hate Me, which I don't like that movie either. But no, this one's even worse because at least She Hate Me wasn't like agonizingly boring like this was. Like, my God, this was terrible. Spike Lee, you are better than this. Luckily, he did make later on. He did make after this Black Klansman, so he made up for that. But still, terrible movie. The Sweet Blood of Jesus. That's number 16. Okay, my number 15. Now this one isn't as bad as The Sweet Blood of Jesus. It's still not good. But I didn't like truly hate it. It's just a one and done. Well, I mean, The Sweet Blood of Jesus is definitely a one and done, but this one's also a one and done. It's kind of forgettable too. Unfortunately, I won't really forget The Sweet Blood of Jesus. I won't forget how terrible it was. So yeah, this one I could forget. This is a Robert Zemeckis movie, and that is Beowulf. Yeah, this is one of Robert Zemeckis' one of his multi-capture films, and yeah, I didn't really like this one. I thought this movie was also pretty boring. Animation at times was pretty cool, but then at other times it looked kind of weird. Like some of the character designs look not very good. Some of them kind of looked like the actual actors too, but the only one I thought actually looked pretty decent was actually Angelina Jolie's character. Her character design, even though it looked just like her, she still was actually not bad looking in terms of like animation wise. Like the others weren't great. They look kind of video game ish and just not good video game animation either. Just like kind of shitty mid 2000s PS2 game, I guess. I didn't like this movie. It was pretty boring and yeah, wasn't a fan. That's my number 15. And my number 14 is a Disney movie. It's an older Disney movie that I watched for my Disney ranking I'm working on. And that'll be a long time till I can do that because there are over 60 of them. That is of the Disney Animation Studios, yeah. But one of their earliest ones, and it's actually one of the World War II movies that they did, where a lot of the animators in the studio had to go off into World War II, and so they had to make these movies that were just like anthology films and whatnot. Although this one's more of a documentary, really. But that is Salos Amigos, released somewhere in the 40s. I'm not entirely sure what year, 42, 43, maybe, something like that. I mean, this movie is okay. It's not terrible. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad either. It's just not really for me. And really, I would say this is more like a short film, because this is only like 45 minutes long or something. And to me, short films are under 60 minutes. Like, even if it's 50-something minutes, I still consider it as a short film. But, you know, Disney, Wikipedia still counts this as one of the 60-odd Disney movies, so I will rank it whenever I get to that ranking. And as of right now, I think this is my least favorite of all the ones I've seen so far, but I pretty much just started anyway, so yeah. Either I've ranked so far, that is. And yeah, it's okay. It's like I said, it's more like a documentary, and it's a documentary about like Brazil and maybe other places too, which is cool and all, but I'm not really interested in that kind of stuff. You got some classic Disney characters in there, like Donald Duck and Goofy, which I do like those characters, but still, like, even they don't really make up for this movie. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad movie. I would even say this is better than my number 13 coming up, and maybe even my number 12 as well, but I kind of just like those a little bit better than this one. This one I just didn't really care about, so that's why it's my number 14. Okay, my number 13 is, I was very disappointed in this movie. I wanted to like this movie, and I didn't. That was Beverly Hills Cop 2. The reason why I was very disappointed in Beverly Hills Cop 2 is because I love the first Beverly Hills Cop movie. Like, not only is that one of my favorite comedy movies, I rewatched it before I saw this movie, and it moved up to one of my all-time favorite films. That is a 10 out of 10 movie for me. This is only a 4 out of 10 movie. Beverly Hills Cop 2. This is directed by Tony Scott, same director of True Romance, which was a movie I really did not like. I know. I'm sorry, True Romance lovers. I honestly kind of hate that movie. This one was maybe a tad bit better than that movie, but still not great. I didn't like how serious this movie was. Like, I mean, sure, there's some comedy in it, but it's still considered as a comedy. But it definitely wasn't that funny, or especially as funny as the first movie. Of course, Eddie Murphy was fine. Eddie Murphy was good. He's still good as Axel Foley, but even he wasn't as good as he was in the first movie. But he's still good. And same with the other two recurring characters, which were played by Judge Reinhold, and I forgot the other guy, but the two detectives from the first movie who were great, Billy and Taggart, I think is his name. They were in this movie too. They're definitely not as good as they were in the first movie. I also did not like the cinematography. Cinematography definitely made it more look like it was like a action thriller movie, and I did not like that one bit. I didn't like that. So it definitely looked like a Tony Scott movie. Also, the villain, they have that sexy Russian chick from Rocky IV. She plays the villain in this movie, and she didn't do much. She wasn't a great villain. I mean, other than I thought she looked good, but that's it, you know. I did not like this movie. I'm sorry, those y'all who do. I didn't like it. So yeah, that's my number 13, Beverly Hills Cop 2. Okay, my number 12 is another Spike Lee joint that is better than The Sweet Blood of Jesus, but still not very good, not too good. But it is a 5 out of 10. I gave this a 5 out of 10. It's okay. That is Red Hook Summer. One thing I will say positive about this movie is I do actually like how it was made. This is more of a low budget film by Spike Lee, and you can definitely tell, but it works in its favor. It reminds me a lot like his older films, like She's Gotta Have It, even though that's in black and white, but She's Gotta Have It and even Do the Right Thing. I liked it, and I liked the cinematography. It looked really good for a low budget film. It definitely just looked like a older low budget Spike Lee joint, and I liked that a lot. What I didn't like about the movie though was the story. I didn't like the story, and they even have a twist in this movie, and it could have worked. I definitely didn't see it coming. I will say that. But it would have worked, but they didn't do it that good, really. They could have done it better. I mean, yeah. Acting was fine. Acting wasn't bad. I thought the guy who played the preacher was really good. The main character, the kid, he wasn't that great. I thought the girl was not bad, though. And, it's not a terrible movie. It's okay. It could have been a lot better, but I really like the cinematography. Even the editing was really good too, and there was actually one tracking shot in this movie I really liked too. It reminded me a lot like a Martin Scorsese film, which Martin Scorsese is a big influence on Spike Lee. They're even friends in real life, so that's cool. But yeah, Spike Lee has learned a lot from Martin Scorsese, and this movie really shows. But yeah, Red Hook Summer, it's okay. That's my number 12. Number 12. Okay, my number 11 is another movie I was also kind of disappointed by, because I thought the premise sounded pretty interesting when I first heard of it, and plus it has at least two actors I enjoy very much. That is Imperium. And this stars Daniel Radcliffe as well as Toni Collette. Like I said, two actors I really enjoy. And I will say this, they're both really good in this movie. However, this movie, it wasn't great. It was kind of boring, actually. I think I put this over Red Hook Summer just because it was a little bit more interesting, story-wise. But this was basically American History X again, and even Black Klansman, but this actually came out before Black Klansman, but it's kind of similar to that. Like this is about a FBI agent who goes undercover as a white supremacist, which is Daniel Radcliffe, and he was really good in the movie. I will say that again, but I don't know. This movie just wasn't done very well, in my opinion. Like, I kind of was into it at first, but as it kept going, I was like, this movie not great. Like, it's not very good. Could have been a lot better, but good two performances from Radcliffe and Collette, but other than that, wasn't really that into it. So yeah, Imperium, that's my number 11. Okay, my number 10 is a movie that stars my number one celebrity crush. I always call her my wife in my videos every time I mention her. That would be Saoirse Ronan. This is How I Live Now. And my God, this movie, while I didn't think was great, but I still was kind of invested into the story. And my God, what a depressing movie this was. And just like, kind of weird too. Just mostly because, man, this movie, if you look here, I'll try to show it. I don't know if you can see it real well, but this poster right here, like, looking at that poster, does that look like a war movie to you? Does it? Yeah, that's right. This movie is a war movie. I mean, not like your typical war movie, because the main character isn't a soldier and she's not actually in the war. Not like fighting in the war, that is. But one thing I will say, the story is very interesting. I will give it that. The story is very interesting. It's based on a book, and it's about this girl who comes from America who visits in England, her family in England, while there is a war going on, and it just gets worse as she stays there, and it gets to the point where everyone needs to evacuate, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like, even as the movie starts, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that at all. And then, like, I was really shocked that they went down that road. Like, holy shit. I actually watched the trailer for it afterwards, and it did feel like, I mean, I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer before I saw the movie, but because I am glad that I did not know that this was a war movie until after a while, after going into it, figuring out that it is. But yeah, this movie is just insane. Like, holy shit. And I will give it this also. Saoirse Ronan was fantastic. She was great. I never seen a bad performance by her. That's why I love her so much. That's one of the reasons why I love her, because she's a great actress. She was very good in this movie. But yeah, it wasn't like executed very well, unfortunately. Maybe if they got a better director, it could have been better. I don't know who directed this, but yeah, it wasn't a very... Actually, I think it was the same director of The Last King of Scotland, which I've never seen, but I know that movie was, pretty Oscar baity, and I know Forrest Whitaker won a Oscar for his role in that movie. I believe it's the same director of that, and I believe that's also a war movie, if I'm not mistaken. But I should mention Tom Holland is in this movie too, a young Tom Holland too, which I've never seen the Spider-Man movies that he's in, but of course I've heard of him. Yeah, he's in this movie as well, and he was fine. But like, yeah, it could have been better. And one more thing I will say about this movie that is pretty weird, honestly. Saoirse Ronan's character has sex with her cousin. Yeah. She falls in love with her cousin and also has sex with him, so yeah. There's that. But, I mean, hell, even if this movie was good, then I would be like, whatever. But yeah. Wasn't a very good movie. Interesting story, to say the least. Very interesting. and I wasn't bored throughout it. It definitely wasn't a boring movie, so that's why I put it ahead of like Imperium and Beverly Hills Cop 2, Beowulf, and The Sweet Blood of Jesus, because those movies were boring. This one wasn't. So, yeah. But still wasn't a very good movie. So, yeah, How I Live Now is number 10. Okay, coming in at number 9, another pretty disappointing movie. I watched this one not long after the passing of Paul Reubens, which I did a tribute video to him. Sadly, he passed away. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Big Top Pee-wee. Yeah, Big Top Pee-wee's my number 9. The second Pee Wee Herman movie after, of course, the masterpiece that is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And no, I'm not being sarcastic, by the way. I fucking love Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I mean, those of y'all who are sub to me should probably know that by now. I did a review in my podcast episode, Your Cousins Are Critics. Me and my cousin Kay talked about it in one of our episodes. Go check it out. Yeah, I love that movie. This movie, unfortunately, wasn't as good as that one. Not even close. In fact, I didn't really think this movie was that good at all. I don't know. Maybe I put this above How I Live Now just because it wasn't depressing. But yeah. But yeah, I didn't really like this movie all that much. There were a few moments here and there that were kind of funny, but not that funny though. Chris Christopherson's in this movie too, which is kind of weird, but whatever. He was better in this movie than he was in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. He was terrible in that movie. Paul Reubens, though, of course, he was great as Pee-wee, as always. And there's even a talking pig that's voiced by Paul Reubens as well, which, whatever. But, yeah, was pretty disappointed by this movie. There's even some references to Pee-wee's Big Adventure that didn't really work, that I thought were great in the first movie. Just like some lines and whatnot, and even the dance that he does to Tequila was even in this. I'm like, why? Like, why? But yeah, I was disappointed by this movie. I didn't like it. I'll never watch it again. I don't know. I'm not even sure why I have it over How I Live Now, but I guess just because it wasn't depressing. I guess that's why, like I said. But yeah, number 9 is Big Top Pee-wee. Okay, now we're done with the bad movies. I mean, those last 4 weren't terrible, but like I said, but you know. Okay, so now to the good movies. Now to the movies I did enjoy. Some of these few I didn't love, but I still liked to some extent. So yeah. All right. Coming in at number 8, we have a DreamWorks movie that I watched for my DreamWorks ranking I'm working on. That is, hopefully I won't butcher a certain word in this title, if I can get to it. Just give me a minute. Okay. Spirit, Stallion of the Cinnamon. I don't know. But, yeah, Spirit. The horse movie, yes. This movie actually did come out whenever I was a kid, but I didn't watch it as a kid. I always saw the trailer for it every time I popped in the Shrek VHS, but I never actually seen this movie until just recently. And it wasn't bad. It was actually decent. This was always a movie I always thought would be boring, and not really. It actually wasn't that boring. I mean, some moments kind of were boring, but the movie overall wasn't as boring as I thought it would be. It was more entertaining than Imperium and Red Hook Summer and Beowulf and The Sweet Blood of Jesus. Well, okay, Red Hook Summer wasn't that boring, but yeah, those others. It was definitely more entertaining than those. Matt Damon is the narrator for some reason, which could have gone without him, honestly. And you definitely could have gone without the fucking Bryan Adams songs, which I guess Bryan Adams is a little bit better than, say, Phil Collins, who did Tarzan and Brother Bear, but still, I don't like Bryan Adams either. He's the Canadian Bruce Springsteen, and I hate Bruce Springsteen, so I hate Bryan Adams as well. Beside the point, I know. But those are like the only two negatives I have of the movie. But the animation is fantastic. Even the score, which was done by a famous composer I don't like, Hans Zimmer. Yeah, he did the music for this movie, but it was pretty good, though. The score was pretty good. Not counting the Bryan Adams songs. Hell no. But the actual score in the movie. But yeah, it was a decent movie. It was a decent movie. I don't know. Maybe I would watch it again. I don't know. It'll be years from now if I do, but it was decent. So yeah, Spirit, that is number 8. Okay, my number 7. So my number 7 is a movie I've been wanting to watch for a very long time. Finally did, and I have to say I was a little bit disappointed from this movie. A little bit. Because it just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. But with that being said, it was still good. This is considered as a classic. That is Dead Poets Society. Yes, directed by Peter Weir, starring Robin Williams and a young Ethan Hawke as well. And those two were definitely like the reasons why I wanted to watch this movie, because I love both actors. And I will say, of course, both of them were great. Of course, Robin Williams, when is he not great? But also Ethan Hawke was actually really good in this movie, and even my favorite character in the movie too. It kind of took me a while to like him, but by the end of the movie, I really liked his character a lot. And yeah, Ethan Hawke was really good in the movie. But like, I don't know, aside from that, honestly, I wasn't a big fan of the story. I don't know. The story just didn't do much for me, and I think that's my biggest issue with Dead Poets Society is the story. It just wasn't really that interesting to me. I don't know. Like, even How I Live Now has a more interesting story, and even Imperium as well. Like, those movies are worse than this one, but they have better stories, in my opinion, than this movie. I don't know, hot take, but yeah. But other than that, still a good movie. I still enjoyed it for the most part. I know it does get kind of sad, like in the third act, but you know, some good acting. Like even the other guys in the movie, the other kids in the movie are pretty good. I say kids, but you know, younger males, younger men. But yeah, they were very good in the movie. Robin Williams, of course. You know, one thing I will say is that I was kind of surprised that Robin Williams wasn't in this movie as much as I thought he was going to be. Really, the movie's not even focused on him. It's focused on the students, which I get it, but I was kind of shocked though that he wasn't in it as much as the students were. So yeah. But yeah, Dead Poets Society, it's a good movie, and I definitely will rewatch it one of these days, but I didn't love it, unfortunately. Maybe I'll like it better on rewatch. We'll see. But yeah, that's my number 7, Dead Poets Society. Okay, coming in at number 6, the only movie in this ranking I own, and this is a movie that I've had. I actually used to have Beverly Hills Cop 2 as well, but I took that out of the collection after I watched it because I didn't like it. But my number 6 is Sin City. Yeah, I finally got to watch Sin City all the way through, that is, because I remember at one point, like not long after I bought this movie, I even tried to I was thinking about reviewing this movie back whenever I did movie reviews, but I didn't finish the movie. And it just took me a long time to watch it again, and I finally did all the way through, and it's good. It's pretty good. Didn't love it. It's still a 7 out of 10 movie. I should say Dead Poets Society was actually a 6 out of 10, but this one was 7, and I enjoyed it for what it was. It was pretty cool. It's directed by, of course, Robert Rodriguez, but also co-directed by Frank Miller, who did the comic book or graphic novel it's based on. And there's even like a scene that was directed by Tarantino, which I'm not sure what scene it was. It might have been the one with Michael Madsen in it, which makes sense. But I don't know. But yeah, pretty good movie though. A little bit too long, I have to say though. A little bit too long. They could have trimmed it. And there were some stories in this movie I didn't love. But some cool characters. I really liked Rosario Dawson in this movie. She was sexy as fuck and just a badass character. She was great. I also liked Mickey Rourke's character was pretty cool. Elijah Wood's character was really weird, but I kind of liked him. He didn't say a word in the movie, and he just looked weird, but I liked him. But yeah, pretty good movie though. I love the cinematography, I should say. Of course, black and white for the most part, but there's also a little bit of color in it, which is really cool. That's how the comics was, or graphic novel, whatever. One thing I will say that I didn't understand about this movie was, like, the characters were really hard to kill in this movie. I mean, there's so many, like, killings and death in this movie, but my God, like, there were a lot of these characters. I was like, why? How are you still alive? Like, what the fuck? Like, they would have, like, a very brutal death, but they're still alive. I'm like, Jesus Christ, just die already. It was weird. Maybe that was that way in the graphic novel. I think I've heard that it's pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Accurate. Pretty accurate to the book. But then again, you have the guy who created it, co-directed this movie, so of course it is. But yeah, Sin City, not a bad movie. Actually, a pretty good movie. Yeah, not my favorite Robert Rodriguez movie. It's No From Dusk Till Dawn, but still, it's pretty good. Sin City, that's my number 6. Okay, my number 5 is a movie that was not only starring Brie Larson, but also directed by her. That is Unicorn Store, which is a Netflix movie. It stars, of course, Brie Larson, like I said. Also starring Sam Jackson. Yeah. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. It's a very girly movie, sure, but I still enjoyed it. I thought Brie Larson was really good in this movie. I know a lot of people give her shit, I guess because of Captain Marvel. Whatever. She's a good actress, okay? And I'm even attracted to her, so yeah. But I do have a crush on her. But beside the point, I know. But no, she was great in this movie. Sam Jackson was very good as well. Just about this girl who's always loved unicorns ever since she was a girl, and Sam Jackson gets in touch with her and says, "Hey, we have a unicorn for you if you want it. Just come by our store and get it." And she like hires this guy to build like a stable for the unicorn and stuff, and they end up like falling in love with each other. Yeah, that might be a spoiler. I don't know, but yeah, it's a pretty good movie though. I enjoyed it. I didn't, it's not like a great movie, but it was pretty good for what it was. I enjoyed it. Unicorn Store, that is number 5. Okay, coming in at number 4. Now this movie I'm kind of mixed on because half of it is really good, and then half of it, while not terrible, could have been better. That is another Netflix movie actually, and it came out this year. By the way, this and another movie coming up are so far the only 2 2023 movies I've seen. So yeah, but this is an animated movie that came on Netflix, and that is Nimona. And it stars Chloe Grace Moretz and Riz Ahmed. Yeah, this movie I liked for the most part. I liked most of this movie. What I liked about it, the animation's great. I really liked the soundtrack too. The soundtrack was pretty kick-ass. The story was really good. And I liked the characters, the 2 main characters especially. Particularly the title character, Nimona, played by Chloe Grace Moretz. She was a great character. She was really cool, really funny. Great character. Riz Ahmed's character was pretty good too. He was all right, but they have really good chemistry together too. They're really good. And the story was great. And also the twist. The twist was fan-fucking-tastic. It was very, very good. However, a big thing I did not like about this movie, unfortunately, was what happened after the twist. Which was the ending. And yeah, I did not like the ending, unfortunately. It didn't ruin the twist or even the movie. Well, it almost ruins the movie, to be honest. But yeah, I did not like the ending. I was like, what? That's it? And I didn't like what happened too in the climax. At the ending climax either. It was pretty disappointing. But it's still a pretty good movie. Pretty good animated film. I do recommend. I might even watch it again, maybe. But I liked it for the most part. It's just the ending kind of just punched me in the face, and I still have a bruise from it. So yeah. It could, if it had a better ending, I honestly think it would have been one of the best animated films of all time. It was that good. I think it's also based on a graphic novel or a comic book or something, but yeah, good movie. Not great, unfortunately. It's almost great, but not quite there. But yeah, Nimona, that is my number 4. Okay, coming in at number 3 is a movie I've been wanting to watch for a long time. Finally did. That is Funny People. Directed by Judd Apatow and stars a bunch of people, actually. Of course, Adam Sandler, Seth Rogen, Leslie Mann, and you also got Aubrey Plaza, Jonah Hill, Jason Schwartzman even. And yeah, this movie, I've been wanting to watch for a long time because I've heard that this is one of Adam Sandler's best movies. And I agree. It's a very good Adam Sandler movie. Adam Sandler is fantastic in this movie. And it is a comedy, sure, but it's not your typical Adam Sandler comedy. He's not... I mean, he is kind of silly, but he's not your typical, over-the-top, silly Adam Sandler character. He's kind of playing himself in this movie, honestly, a little bit. But he's really good. Him and Seth Rogen surprisingly have really good chemistry together. And I've never seen them work together before. I don't know if they have since then, but they have really good chemistry together. And Leslie Mann was also great in the movie. And not my favorite Judd Apatow film. It's no 40-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up, but it's still pretty good. There's also a bunch of cameos in this movie too. You have not Paul Simon, what's his name? James Taylor, and he's actually kind of funny in the movie too. He's barely, just in one scene, but still. Eminem is even in the movie for some reason, and he was actually pretty funny. Ray Romano, and I forgot who else. There was a shitload of cameos in this movie. Sarah Silverman, the late great Norm Macdonald as well, rest in peace. But yeah, pretty good movie. I will say I didn't love the ending, much like Nimona, but I didn't love the ending. It felt kind of rushed, and it just could have been better. But and actually, no, the third act in general I didn't love, but I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was a good movie. A little bit too long, but Judd Apatow movies are usually pretty long. But yeah, that's my number 3 is Funny People. I'm sorry for this being a long video. We're almost at the 40-minute mark. Yeah, but hopefully if you are familiar with this channel, you're used to it by now, and hopefully you've made it this far. But anyways, we still got 2 more movies, so let's talk about them. Okay, coming at number 2, we have a horror movie that came out in... I mean, you can argue whether or not it came out in 2021 or 2022, because I think it came out in a festival in 2021, but like released later in 2022, you know, worldwide. But whenever I do my 2021 ranking or top 10, this will probably be on there just because Letterboxd say it's for 2021. So I'm just going to go with that. Anyways, this is a horror movie. What's the director? Scott Derrickson directed this, and that is The Black Phone. Yeah, I've been wanting to watch this for a while because I've heard that Ethan Hawke played a horror villain, and I really wanted to see that because I love Ethan Hawke. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. But when I heard that he was playing a horror movie villain, I was like, really? Huh. And I watched it, and holy shit is he amazing in this movie. He is so good. I was so surprised that he was that good as the villain in this movie, but holy shit, he was great. Yeah, this is a pretty cool horror movie just about this serial killer who kidnaps and kills kids, young boys, that is, which is pretty fucked up, but and it takes place in the 70s too, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, it was a pretty good movie. There's some corniness to it, but it kind of works with the movie. And it kind of feels like it could have been made like in the 70s. Like the cinematography even kind of looked like it was like in the 70s a little bit, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I thought it was very well done. And yeah, and once again, Ethan Hawke, like, holy fucking shit, he was amazing in this movie. Like, it's worth watching just for Ethan Hawke's performance alone, honestly. But even without that, it's still a pretty good movie. It's pretty cool. Like, it reminds me of a few other movies, though. Like, it reminds me of that Sam Raimi movie, The Gift, because there is a character who's kind of like psychic in the movie. It also kind of reminds me of Panic Room, which isn't a horror movie, but there are some elements in that movie, in this movie, that reminded me of Panic Room, the David Fincher movie, and there was another one too. I forgot what it was, but yeah, though, yeah, pretty cool movie though. I enjoy it, and I recommend it too if you haven't seen it. Yeah, that's my number 2, and my number 1 is also a horror movie. I know, someone who used to hate horror as a genre, over the last few months, I've just been, like, pretty amazed at horror movies lately, and, like, I'm just like, holy shit, do I love horror movies now? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go that route just yet, but there are a lot of good horror movies I've seen lately, and this is definitely one of them. Although it's an 8 out of 10, but I feel like on rewatch I'll probably like it even more. Anyways, my number 1 favorite movie that I watched for the first time in August of 2023, that is Infinity Pool, which was released this year, and it came out, or it was directed by Brandon Cronenberg, the son of David Cronenberg, which I've only seen 2 David Cronenberg movies, which were Videodrome and Naked Lunch. I didn't love either of those movies. I actually like this one even better. It's not even directed by David Cronenberg, but it's my favorite Cronenberg movie, even though it's his son. But yeah, this movie was, holy shit, this movie was crazy. This movie was pretty crazy. I don't want to say what this movie is about too much because it'll spoil, but I'll just say cloning is a big thing in this movie. Like, it's basically about cloning. There's more to it than that, but it's pretty cool. It stars Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth. I wasn't too familiar with Mia Goth. I mean, I know who she was, but this was my first, at least, live action movie I've seen with her. I know I've seen an animated movie with her called The House, which was okay, but But she was great. She was fantastic in this movie. I really want to see X and Pearl. I haven't seen those yet. Alexander Skarsgård I have seen in one of my favorite movies of last year. That was The Northman. He was fantastic in that. And he was also very good in this movie, too. He plays the main character. But, yeah, this movie's pretty crazy. It gets even crazier in, like, the fucking third act, too. But I enjoyed it. It's still an 8 out of 10 because it wasn't quite on that level of being 9 out of 10 for me, but I still really liked it. It could go up though if I watch it again, which I might even do I might even show Cade this movie. We might even do a Your Cousins Are Critics episode. I think he said he wanted to see this movie, but yeah, Infinity Pool, very good movie so far. This is my favorite movie of this year, but I've only seen this and Nimona of this year. I know. I need to watch Oppenheimer. I need to watch Barbie. I need to watch, I don't know, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I guess. But, yeah. Anyways, yeah, number 1, Infinity Pool. Alright, there we go. There is my ranking for every movie I watched for the first time in August of 2023. If you made it this far, I thank you very much. I'm sorry for this being a long video. It's just, I guess I just had a lot of things to say. Even though a lot of these movies weren't very good, but whatever. Alright, so, okay, so, let me think here. I believe, unless it already came out, we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of, like, confused with my scheduling of videos, but I think it is. I think the next video this Saturday, I believe, unless it already happened, that is my a new Your Cousins Are Critics video ranking, or god damn it, new Your Cousins Are Critics episode that is Ex Machina. So look out for that. Okay, so please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell, and I'll see you later. All right, peace.